SME Grind is proudly brought to you by Small Business Services from Nedbank. You run the business, we'll handle the banking.
This is your world. Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
24 minutes before 8 p.m. as we continue to look at the SME grind. We'll be speaking to Dr. Charlene Makita, who's an analytical chemist and clean beauty advocate. She's the founder of Natural Aura. In just a moment, let's just quickly turn our attention to X post about the previous topic that we had on, the DA's new economic action plan, with Tapelo saying if the DA says they have a plan to run the country while they are in the GNU, which plan do they have alone? Isn't this the beginning of that proposed coup? Interesting. Karabo Akharao, the DA spokesperson, did deal with this. She said that it's trying to move the ANC towards their position, and she says that there's more commonalities between the ANC than the DA than there are differences. So that was her response to how they're going to work around it within the GNU. And then the other topic that we've been focusing on today is the shocking unemployment figures coming out for the second quarter of the year, up to 33.2%. A few listeners sent in their thoughts on voice notes. Let's listen in.
Good evening, Tehillah. This is Matlatse from Pretoria. I hear that there are a number of men that are calling to say that the ANC has redressed the past imbalances, in that affirmative action, has, catapulted many blacks into management positions. But those managers in positions are hiring their families and friends. So it's not working. That is why some of us, the blacks, are thinking that the DA is a better option for us, because it's offering us, meritocracy.
That's an interesting perspective from that caller. Someone else also dropped a voice note.
Hi, Tehillah. I hope Power FM shares the podcast that from Buslebetu's interview with you. My goodness, everything that she shared for me was quite eye-opening. I do think that, and my perspective is my business perspective, it almost was as if the adults are trying to come up with solutions, but with the youth being absent. She should be leading this conversation at the likes of B4SA and so on, because, well-informed, very insightful.
I also thought Butlebute's contribution was incredibly succinct and incredibly well directed. Butlebute Magweza is the project lead at Youth Capital. She was talking about the issues with youth unemployment and the 3 initiatives that she would put directly to policymakers. Of course, we will have that podcast very soon after the end of the show at 8 p.m. But let's turn now to SME Grind, where we're speaking to Dr. Charlene Makita, who, as I mentioned before, is an analytical chemist and the founder of Natural Aura. And Natural Aura is a moringa-based product, and it's listed on Takealot as well as being on the shelves in online stores at Clicks. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Charlene.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me, especially in Women's Month. So excited to be here.
Fantastic to have you here. And just looking at some of the products, what inspired you to create Natural Aura? What was the gap in the market that you saw?
All right. So my journey to Natural Aura was a very, very interesting one. The basis of creating Natural Aura actually stemmed from my master's and PhD research work on a plant called moringa. But prior to that, I would say there were 3 main things that motivated me to create Natural Aura. The first bit of motivation was actually my journey to self-discovery. During the time prior to me launching my hair care brand, I was on this journey of self-discovery. I wanted to understand myself. I wanted to know myself. And in order for me to do that, I actually wanted to understand my natural hair. And of course, I wanted to kind of be a rebel against the Eurocentric forms of beauty and what they told us beautiful was. And so I wanted to understand my hair, know my hair, because my hair was relaxed at the time. So I really didn't know the texture of my hair. And so that was my first motivation. And I think it's an ode to the natural hair community, because they actually taught us the knowledge of understanding and knowing our hair, showing up as ourselves, and just really embracing our hair. So that was the first motivation. So in the transition of me trying to know and understand my hair, I of course needed products to cater to my hair as well, and to grow my hair and to moisturize it and to make it more manageable. So when I was looking on the market, I went to so many stores, and of course being an analytical chemist and doing the necessary research and understanding that there are certain compounds that cause really harmful effects for your health, I couldn't find products on the market that catered specifically to textured hair that didn't have harmful ingredients as the top 5 ingredients. So that really motivated me to create Natural Aura. One, being a safe product. I define Natural Aura as a brand that supports clean beauty, and clean beauty ultimately is choosing to choose products that are catered to your health, that are safe as well. And also, ultimately, I wanted to implement the science aspect of it, and just to educate my consumers about understanding and knowing the science behind Afro hair, because it is a science to it as well. And just to understand it before your next trip to the salon. So that was my second motivation to create my hair care brand, Natural Aura. And the third motivation behind that ultimately was the Crown Act. The Crown Act is an act in the US that specifically caters toward protecting men and women with textured hair. So it protects the rights of Afro hair as it relates to Afro hair discrimination. So that if there's Afro hair discrimination in schools, in workplaces, that Crown Act actually protects it. So I wanted my brand to reflect that. Of course, I didn't know how to implement a whole act and law in South Africa, but I think my mission and my statement with creating a clean beauty brand kind of highlighted that, choosing products that are safe and healthy for you. So that's why I created Natural Aura.
That's quite a journey that you've described of self-discovery and then entrepreneurship. I actually just want to go back to your research that you did on moringa, and why is this such a fabulous product for hair products or natural hair kind of products?
Yes. So I think with Natural Aura, what sets the brand apart is it's backed by scientific research. And I definitely would promote the fact of having a mentor is extremely important, especially if you're an academic turned entrepreneur like myself, because I've been in academia for many years. My professor, Prof. Luke Chimuka, who's at Wits University, it was the first time he actually highlighted the concept of turning research work into a commercially viable business, which I had never ever seen before. And of course, with my research work, we highlighted,
and it's difficult to come out of the research work.
Yes, 100%. It's very, very, very difficult. But if you have an angle that caters to consumers, you can actually turn it into a commercially viable product. Fortunately, because we studied its medicinal nutritional aspects of moringa and its cosmetic, we actually could extract the moringa leaves into an extract that could be added into yogurts and iced teas. And we actually found that once we added that extract into yogurts and iced teas, it increased the nutritional value of those products. And so we actually won funding. This was back in 2015. We won funding from the Innovation Hub in Pretoria. Wits University also backed us up with trying to find other sources of funding, and we actually won 500,000 Rand to start up our mini business out of Wits University, which was very encouraging because I actually got to see, number one, the business aspect. My first time being introduced to business and the concepts behind that, going to the Rand show and seeing people really loving moringa products. So I could see already there was a market for it. So during my transition into natural hair, because I had already that as a basis, I'm like, okay, fine, there is a market for moringa-based products. I'm not finding anything on the market that is catering to my natural hair. So let me just create a hair product line because there is a market for moringa products. And that's how it essentially started, how we managed to incorporate the scientific aspect of our my study into creating Natural Aura.
I actually was speaking to a colleague the other day who was saying that they wish South Africans didn't follow the trend as much of drinking matcha and instead drink moringa because it's a little bit more sustainable for us. But perhaps that will be the next matcha and take off like matcha has.
Yes, 100%. Because it has so many nutritional, it has such a high nutritional value, more than your fruits and vegetables combined. To be honest, I don't know why it's not marketed more than matcha, to be quite honest with you. So moringa is a really, really good plant.
South Africans always downplaying our amazing achievements. But Bill, we touched on a little bit about the difficulty leaving the university, leaving the academy, going out into the business world. What were some of the other challenges you experienced?
Many, many challenges. I think just running a business in general, especially as a startup, is extremely, extremely challenging. I think I was a little bit too motivated, I think is probably the word.
Wow.
I actually took my PhD because I won funding for my PhD. I paid for my last year of school, and the rest of the money I actually took it to start funding, because I actually had no idea how to apply for funding. So I actually took my PhD money and started my business. But of course, coming from an academic, the academic side, it was very difficult because in my mind, if you formulate an incredible product, okay, I'm a chemist. So if you formulate the best product with the best ingredients and you show that it works and you show the research behind it, you're going to be fine in the market. And that's not necessarily always true. You actually have to build a consumer base. You actually have to create, your brand positioning. What is your special offer? What sets you apart? Content, the target market, all of that. I actually had to start from scratch. I actually learned my audience, which is not something that the academic field really teaches you. So fortunately, again, having a mentor like Prof. Luke, who took me to certain courses just to understand that element. It was hard initially because obviously it's a trial run and you make a lot of mistakes, but those mistakes are definitely turned into lessons. And anyone who asks me, small businesses, I can actually tell them of all the mistakes that I did make transitioning from academia to entrepreneurship.
And on the flip side of that, what have been some of your proudest moments or milestones?
You know what? My proudest moment, and because the basis of me starting my hair care brand was my contribution to the natural hair movement. I think the natural hair movement is not underrated in any way, but I think it really just helped us embrace our natural hair. It imparted so much knowledge of how to take care of our natural hair, especially in a world where we conform so much to Eurocentric forms of beauty. And I think one of the positives is actually hearing that my products have helped certain parts of my customers with their journey to transitioning properly with their natural hair, loving their natural hair, understanding their natural hair. I think those are one of the positives, number one. And number two, getting into clicks. I think that was probably one of my biggest achievements. It's actually at Clicks Online at the moment. So I think number two, that was probably one of my biggest achievements. Yeah.
It's 12 minutes before 8 p.m. And if you'd like to talk to our SME grind entrepreneur, who's Dr. Charlene Makita, the founder of Natural Aura, about the products, about natural hair. She is a natural hair advocate. You can call us on 0861 987 000, taking WhatsApps and voice notes on 083 303 7093. We'll be back in just a moment with Dr. Charlene Makita.
Power Business with Tehillah Niselow, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m.
Thanks for staying with us on the SME Grind. Our entrepreneur that we're featuring tonight is Dr. Charlene Makita, who's the founder of Natural Aura. And Dr. Charlene, just talk us through, for listeners who might not know, the product range. I'm looking at it now online on Clicks, and it does seem to be, everyone has a different idea of affordability, but it does seem to be priced quite affordable range.
100%. That's honestly what I wanted for my product range, because I understand the journey to transitioning into natural hair. You're going to be using a lot of products. You're going to be experimenting. You're going to be seeing what works for your hair. And so I really wanted to create an affordable product range where you can experiment, know and understand your hair. So that's why it's priced the way that it is. And also the product range really is one that is straight to the point. And I say straight to the point only because there is so much information and videos out there that tell you what you can and cannot do with your hair. I do believe that having a natural hair routine can be simple. You don't have to have so many products that you're running to all the time. You just need a shampoo, conditioner, leave-in conditioner, deep treatment, and you need a butter as well as an oil. So that's my range. It's simple and straight to the point to help you with
So
your
4 products.
Exactly.
Okay.
No. Most of them are. Some of them are sold out.
Okay. All right.
Sold
That's
out.
good news for you. Okay.
Which is great. Yeah.
Right. So there's 4 products listed there now. And who would you say your core? Yeah. Who would you say your core target market is or demographic?
I would definitely say it's for people ages 18 to 35, corporate girlies, of course, and university students. And the reason why I say that my products are straight to the point is because, when you're in university and also the corporate girls, we're consistently on the go. So we need to do something very simple and very manageable and straight to the point with our. So that's why I chose that target audience for women who are consistently on the go.
Right. I really understand the need to have a very set and wash hair. But how do you go about then trying to reach customers in a market that people might still want to have Eurocentric views around beauty, which is also perfectly fine?
Yeah, so specifically with how I position my hair care brand, it is specifically for textured hair. And that really is why your brand positioning is extremely important. Natural Aura is a clean beauty brand, and that's essentially what it is. It's a healthy beauty brand with safe ingredients specifically targeted for Black men and women with textured hair. So it really is about your brand positioning. And also what we find is, for instance, with hair expos, there are a lot of people that actually come to the hair expos that are actually looking for genuine, safe products. So you need to really go where your consumers are. And of course, we're trying to debunk the European forms of beauty as well. So Natural Aura definitely defines that.
Right. And so, as well as challenging Eurocentric ideas of beauty, your product and your work challenge toxic ingredients in beauty products. How do you go about educating consumers? Because I don't know much about that.
So it really just opens the conversations. You need to have open dialogues, open conversations with your consumers, whether it's through Instagram lives, whether it's through the content that you're posting. And if you are in the natural hair community, there are a lot of articles that have now made the mainstream, which is really, really commendable, because when we talk about the association with health and products, it's definitely looked down upon and not highlighted as much. This year, the Consumer Reports tested 10 synthetic hair products, and all of those 10 synthetic hair products actually contain cancerous compounds, including lead. And that made mainstream, and it opened the conversation of what we're actually exposing our children to, us as adults, us as Black women, because we consistently are using these synthetic hair products that are not properly labeled. And so my platform is primarily intended to highlight these issues that are looked down upon, that are not spoken about a lot. Of course, people who follow me on my platforms will know about these topics that I speak about all the time. And also just creating that sense of community is also very, very important. It's a chance for us, number one, to show up as ourselves and also have these difficult conversations about toxic compounds that are affecting Black women and children in the market at the moment.
You've been very vocal about legal protection against Afro hair discrimination. We started off the conversation around that. In 2016, we saw the protests by Zuleika Patel at Pretoria High School about hair and the way that hair is allowed, or the rules against certain hair types in schools. How do you see your role in pushing for South Africa to reform around the way that hair is discriminated against?
Yes, Zuleika's story is extremely sad, but I think it is necessary. It opens up the conversations that Afro hair discrimination is still happening. I'm currently partnered with World Afro Day, which is based in the UK. And what we're trying to do is amend the Equality Act, because we do find in corporate spaces, there's still systemic biases against natural hair. In schools, when it comes to certain policies, we still consider coming to school and being neat. It does not have Afro hair included in that. And in fact, one of the policies that we actually had to bring to Parliament in the UK actually showed a picture of Afro hair. And it actually said underneath there, do not come with this hairstyle to school.
Wow.
So situations like Zuleika and
Shocking.
also policies that are in our schools actually opens the conversation that this is still happening. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel in South Africa. It's already been done in the US with the Crown Act. We're doing it in the UK with amending the Equality Act 2010. So really what we can do as South Africa, because it is rich in culture and we understand and know our rights, South Africa can be actually the country that spearheads this and being the forefront to spearhead this law in the continent. We can be the first people to do that. Let's use all the existing legal frameworks that have been successful, like the Equality Act and the Crown Act, and let's adopt that and do the same here, because it is still happening here in South Africa.
It is a black majority country, so that's quite shocking, but that's a conversation for another day. As we wrap up, we have a message from Letabo in Midrand. Hi, Dr. Charlene. I'm also trying to get my business off the ground. I'd like to know from you, what strategies have worked best for you to get natural aura products into major retailers like Clicks?
Perfect question. I didn't hear his name, but
Letabo.
Great. Okay, so first of all, you have to actually show them that your product actually sells. So make sure that you have your financials in order. And I think what worked for me was definitely my story. I'm an academic turned entrepreneur, and my product is based off of scientific research. So they really love that angle. So if you have a story and you're confident and about your brand and your brand positioning, that'll definitely help when you're approaching retailers. It's also good to look for buyers as well that are in the category that you're looking for to expose your brand to. So that's what I did as well. I approached all the buyers that I wanted to have interviews with. And that's through either LinkedIn or social media, etc. So, yeah.
And just very briefly, Charlene, what are your future plans? Where's growth going?
Oh, that's an amazing question, and I really, really love this question. Of course, I want to have a footprint on the continent, not just in South Africa, but all the other African countries, and of course, abroad. But of course, my advocacy is something that I also take seriously as well. So we're positioning ourselves as a brand that offers clean beauty, but we're actually doing real change by trying to amend the Equality Act in the UK, and also exposing ourselves to platforms like the UN, where we're actually highlighting the harmful effects of products in Black women and children. So that's ultimately where I want my brand to go. I want it to be a lifestyle brand, have a global footprint, but also implement advocacy and real change as it relates to Afro hair discrimination.
That's incredibly inspiring from entrepreneur on our SME grind, Dr. Charlene Makita, the founder of Natural Aura, as well as being a natural hair advocate and activist.
SME Grind was proudly brought to you by Small Business Services from Nedbank. You run the business, we'll handle the banking.
Power Business was proudly brought to you by MTN. Today, we make moves.